Hey, what's up? This is John from Contention Media. I am a contributor here at 5 Minute Guide, and I want to go over something really interesting with you guys. And by really interesting, I mean, I've been doing film for a long time, video and all that kind of stuff, and I'm absolutely certain on higher levels in photography, this topic is just as important. And this topic that I want to talk about today is the skin tones. They're ridiculously stupid important. So we're gonna go right here to the screen, and I'm in Lightroom. I've already selected a photo. This is straight out of camera. And my white balance was a little off on this. So the first thing I wanna do, so I wanna find something white, and the only thing I see that's white is right there, her eyeballs. So we're gonna hit the little eyedropper tool, which is right here. And I'm gonna take that over here and just get the whites of her eyes, and boom, you can already see the image is nice and white balanced now. I'm gonna hit the crop tool, which is right here, and then I'm going to drag around her face. The reason I'm doing that, and I'm not gonna hit enter or anything like that, the reason I'm doing that is because I want the histogram to only show this section of her face, and you see how it's a little hot on this side. So we're gonna take the exposure of the entire image and we're gonna bring it down. We're gonna bring the exposure of her face down to where it's right here in the middle of this screen. And it's important to do that because we're exposing for our subject. We are not exposing for the background or anything like that. The part of this photo that is absolutely essential and more important than anything else is your one subject. Right in the middle of the histogram, which is where it's supposed to be, we're going to hit reset on that crop, and then we're gonna just close that crop window. And now, not only are we properly white balanced, but we are also properly exposed. So here's the thing, skin tones are a funny thing. If you don't get skin tones right, your image will always feel off. Now we have our base image. This is kind of where we want to start with the edit. Everything's relatively ready to go. So first thing, one of the biggest things I want to do right now is I want to take this and I want to throw this into Photoshop. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to right click on the image, and then I'm going to go edit in Adobe Photoshop. And that is going to pull this photo into Adobe Photoshop so I can make some tweaks that I really kind of don't like doing in Lightroom. So this is going to take a second here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to zoom right into her face. I'm going to open up the eyedropper tool by pressing I, and then I'm going to look for a bright spot with a lot of detail. And with these higher resolution photos, you want to as soon as you go into the eyedropper tool, and again, you go into the eyedropper tool by pressing I, you want to bring this drop down box. It's usually point sample, but I bring it down to like an 11 by 11 average because we have a lot of pixels to choose from. Anyway, so I'm gonna go and find a really bright spot here, and boom. So shift, click, and that's gonna give us a little focus selection area. When you do that, this little info panel is gonna pop up, and you're gonna see some values. Over here, you're gonna hit your little eyedropper, and you're gonna switch this to CMYK. So cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So we're looking at these. We got 20%, 30%, or 33% and 35, 0%. This should always be at 0% for Caucasian people. So those are our values. I'm going to take this, I'm going to drop that right into here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open a curves adjustment layer right here, and I'll take that and we'll throw that there. So in our curves adjustment layer, first thing we want to do is we want to bring this number down to between 1/3 and 1/5 of this number. So your cayenne should be 1/3 to 1/5 of your magenta and your yellow. And you can see 20%, that's like 70%. So we know we're a little off on this skin tone. And it might look good right now, but you'll see. So down here, we're gonna go to our red channel, which red and cayenne are on the same channel. And we're gonna grab our little hand thingy selection tool. And right over that, you remember that little thing that we made here? We're gonna take that and we're gonna pull that up to 11. So our cayenne, which is right here, we wanna bring that to 11%. And let me explain this real quick. Sorry for not doing it before. This is your before. These are the numbers that you were at before. So cayenne was 20%, magenta 33, yellow was at 35, and 0 and 0, that's always gonna be 0 and 0 for Caucasians. And these are the after numbers, so 11%. We brought the cayenne down to 11%, and now you'll see that these two numbers have changed as well. So now we're at 37%, which throws it off a little bit. So what we're gonna do is and you can see even in the skin tone, it's not right. So we're gonna go to our blue. Blue and yellow are together. So you bring blue up and it gives more blue in the image. You bring it down and it brings more yellow into the image. So your yellows should be a few points higher than your magenta. And you see how it's inverse there. We have 37 and 33. So what we wanna do is we wanna grab that little selection tool and we want to bring our yellows up so that they're a little higher than our magenta. And now I'm going to go to the green and we're going to kind of do the same thing. So I'm going to bring the greens up a little bit. So now 11% is 1/4 of 40%. It kind of meets halfway in that range. So we'll come out and that is actually that's spot on. That is, how I remember her. Her skin color is not that. It is definitely a little darker than that. So you can tell that even white balancing your photo doesn't give you perfect skin tone. You really have to follow, you have to do the numbers. So again, before and after, this is her proper natural skin tone. So now that we have the skin tones all nice and leveled off and all that kind of fun stuff, I'm gonna hit Command S and we're gonna hop back over to Lightroom and you'll see that it'll pop up a brand new image for you. So now you can see we can go to the before image and after. And you can immediately see the difference. Before, which looked great. Before we did this, everything on this image looked really, really nice. Let it resolve there. I mean, it's a really nice photo. She has great skin, all this kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Everything looks good, but this is 100% a more accurate representation of her skin color. And that is super essential. It's super important. And people know if your skin tones are incorrect. It's one of those things that separates a good photo from a great photo. It could even separate a great photo from a phenomenal photo. It's just nailing that skin tone. People know there's something, people will look at that and they'll know there's something off about your photo. They won't be able to place it, but I guarantee skin tone is what that is. So that's a quick little thing. You can take a look at the cheat sheet, watch this video 100 times, and I'm probably gonna remake this. So anyway, that's Skin Tone 101.